Doom has many interesting speedrunning categories. There's the well-known UV Speed, where you play on the Ultra Violence difficulty and try to reach the exit as quickly as possible. UV Max is also very popular. This is where you get 100% of the kills and secrets before exiting the map. Lost Souls are excluded, because they do not count as a kill. The list is quite extensive. Fast Monsters, Nightmare, Tyson and many others. One of the more unique ones is UV Pacifist, and as the name implies, it requires you to exit without hurting monsters either directly or indirectly. Monster infighting, however, where enemies get angry at each other and fight to the death, is allowed. The Casino made multiple analysis videos on this category, which I highly recommend watching. But what if you take it another step further? Okay, I know it looks funny, but let me explain. The Stroller category is similar to Pacifist, but with two extra rules: no running and no strafing. Doomguy is incredibly fast and can outrun enemies with ease, especially while strafe running, so removing both of these things can make a map dramatically harder. Here's a direct comparison between regular walking and strafe running. The difference is insane. The category isn't new, by the way. It goes back all the way to 1999, when the Walk in the Park competition was held on the Competent website. But I only discovered it myself a few years ago when watching Megasphere 08 Stroller demos. And seeing Doomguy casually take a walk through a demon-filled map is honestly just hilarious. So, after enjoying many of Megasphere's videos, I thought, well, this looks really fun. Why don't I give it a try myself by going through Doom's first episode? That shouldn't be too difficult, right? So let's do it. Episode 1, no killing, no running, no strafing, and a pistol start for each map. I didn't expect E1 and 1 to give me any issues, and luckily I was right. Doom's iconic first map is very straightforward. Just walk past all the enemies, hope they don't stand in your way too badly, and hope that you don't get too unlucky with the damage rolls. Playing with these controls definitely feels weird, but this level is a great way to get somewhat used to it. Oh, and by the way, if you try this yourself, I highly recommend removing all key bindings related to strafing. You really don't want to accidentally press a key that invalidates your entire run. Alright, now we're good to go. E1M2 is already quite a step up from the last map, but it's still very doable. You would definitely want to grab either the regular or the secret green armor, and if you want you can even go for the supercharge that's hidden outside, but it's not required. Grab the red key, head for the red door, and most importantly, don't forget to thank Mr. Zombie Man if he keeps the door open for you. Thank you, Mr. Zombie Man. Going up this staircase can be somewhat annoying if the enemies don't behave, but the imps decided to let me through. Move down the lift and hit the switch to reveal the hallway that leads to the exit. The final room is for sure the hardest part of the map. The imps in front of the exit switch need to move out of the way, or else you'll get scratched to death. Cause as much infighting as possible, try to dodge fireballs if you can, and lure the imps out. Then exit the map. I have to say, it's going very well so far. I'm really looking forward to beating this challenge with absolute ease. Oh, okay, well, that was just an unlucky run. I can barely get through the first room. In all honesty, I did expect this map to be hard. Playing through it on Nightmare last year was a huge difficulty spike as well, but this is something else. What do I even do? And look at how much more there is to go through, it's insane. So you know what? It might be better to look at a successful demo instead to learn some strategies. Alright, let's go to E1 and 3, then scroll all the way down until we reach the Stroller category. Okay, that's there. Wait. Only a tool-assisted speedrun? No one has done this? Now, I could just declare the challenge as impossible right here, right now. But no, I don't want to give up that easily. If there's no demo, I'll try to create and submit one myself instead. There must be a way, so let's start the grind. Staying in the starting room is usually a death sentence. Run past the shotgunner on the right and hope he hits the pinky to start a war. There's a pretty high chance that the shotgunner will just take a huge chunk out of your health, and if that happens, I just restart. But if you're healthy enough, use the pinky and the Spectre in this room as meat shield to protect you from all the other enemies. The biggest danger in this room are the 4 shotgunners. They need to die. If a shotgunner ever survives and there's no other enemies around for it to infight with, say goodbye to your health and probably your run. And this goes for the whole map, not just this room. If all goes well, either the pinky, the Spectre or both will survive. Be careful when getting past them though, it's very easy to get stuck. Open the door to the next room, make a sound to wake your enemies up, and immediately hide again behind one of the 2 demons. As you can probably tell by now, the only way to make it out of this map alive is by making very efficient use of infighting. To achieve this, we have to move in a way that maximizes our chances of enemies damaging each other. For example, this shotgunner must hit the imp, and then the imp needs to win the fight, which is usually the case. But you can also get unlucky, and you'll simply have to accept that. Really unlucky even. Multiple imps will always survive after dealing with the second room. This is where the barrels come in. You need to lure them close to one and hope that they blow themselves up. Nice. Barrels are actually quite a valuable and limited resource. That's why it sucks extra bad that the shotgunner from earlier blew one up. Our next goal is to activate the switch behind the window. Yes, we're going for the secret exit. There's a lot of enemies down there though, mostly imps, so we once again need to lure them out and make strategic use of barrels. This dance around the center barrel is very dangerous. Dodging is awkward, and if the barrel explodes at the wrong time, you just die. By the way, these barrels have 20 hit points. And because an imp fireball does 3 to 24 damage, it can either explode in 1 hit, but it theoretically could also take 7 hits. I'm cutting a lot of the tedious stuff by the way. We're already 6 minutes into the run, and a lot of it consists of luring enemies from room to create space. Wait, did you hear that? That was a barrel. But its explosion was anything but normal. It actually caused a very helpful and somewhat rare event, starting with the imp hitting it right here. Before moving on though, I know someone who can explain this much better.
When a barrel is damaged and doesn't explode, it remembers who inflicted the damage. If it explodes in a single hit, it does not remember anything. Let's say Baron A's fireball hits a barrel and it doesn't explode. Then Baron B gets close to the barrel and it explodes. The game deals damage to Baron B, then checks who inflicted the damage. In this case, it was the barrel, so it checks again who caused the barrel to explode. The barrel only remembers the non-lethal hit, which was caused by Baron A. This is clearly an oversight, but Baron B is now going after Baron A.
So, the imp hits the barrel and it doesn't explode. Then, it follows me outside. I do stuff for 40 seconds, but then another imp blows up the barrel, taking itself down and hurting the one remaining imp in the process. Imp B is now angry at Imp A, but I don't know this until I come back to investigate the explosion that I heard. I grab armor, very important by the way, and you can see how wary I am of the imp, not being sure if it will attack me or not. Once I'm sure it's safe, I hit the switch to open the next room, and about 10 seconds later the imps finally find each other. Now that our love story is over, it's time for the final difficult section of the map, getting to the supercharge. And luckily, only the front shotgunner can walk out of this hallway thanks to a monster blocking line. Let him die to an imp, and then move in front of the hallway so the big group of shotgunners start infighting. My health is really low though, so it's very dangerous to expose myself to them directly. Plus, there's still an imp nearby. However, enemies tend to get stuck around this diagonal door, so I'm able to use the imp as a shield until it dies. Once dead, I repeatedly open and close the door. This tiny bit of vision allows the remaining shotgunners to shoot at me, while minimizing the chance of being hit myself. The final goal here is to be left with one shotgunner. Perfect! Now let's get the final imp so he can take him down. Oh yeah, this zombie man came from the armor lift, but he's no issue. Let's get some much needed health from the place he guarded. Interestingly, while I'm doing this, the remaining shotgunner gets completely stuck in the corner. So when I set up the imp, I wait and I wait only for nothing to show up. Eventually my patience runs out, so I lure the imp away and walk inside to wake up the remaining enemies. This also gets that shotgunner unstuck. We repeat the infighting process a few times until the path to the secret hallway is finally clear. Just one more shotgunner and then we can go. This is the final imp we have. If it dies, the run is over, as there's no way for me to safely get past the shotgunner. Phew. Time for the moment of truth. Grabbing the supercharge gives you enough health to get you to the secret exit, but there are 3 imps in the way. In my 1000th attempt, I reached this point 3 times and I died every single time. Oh man, that was close. If that hit was a max damage roll, I would have died. But I made it! Now to get out of here, raise the lift to the secret exit and finish the map. I'm so nervous at this point. I know that in theory I should make it to the end, but it's always possible to choke when you're under pressure. Just look at what I'm doing here, for example. Luckily the damage rolls were very low. There are 2 ambushes at the end. The first one is hit scan, just walk away and let them infight. The remaining shotgunner can infight with the imp from way earlier in the run, but once again I slightly fumble this part and take a lot of unnecessary damage. The second trap contains 6 imps and 1 pinky. In my practice runs I was able to basically walk past them and easily exit the map, but now I get so scared that I make a crucial mistake and backpedal instead. I need to find a way to get past all the imps, but I haven't been in this position during practice, and I start panicking. That pinky is in the absolute worst spots, I can't get past him. I really don't want to be on this side, because the shotgunner is still near the door. I have to make my way to the end right now. By some miracle, I'm able to squirm through the imps without getting stuck, and after almost throwing it all away, it's finally over. This is one of the hardest runs I've ever recorded. Going for the secret exit makes it more doable, but it's important to note that the secret exit has a separate leaderboard. Luckily, I'm still the first one to set a stroller record here. Back to a much easier map. If you're wondering why I skipped the secret map for now, it's obviously because 9 is a higher number than 4. First grab the supercharge, while hoping the shotgunner behaves as you ride the incredibly slow lift. Then go for the mega armor. Grab the blue key and make your way to the blue door. Sadly, we don't have enough speed for the jump to the yellow key, even with a potential rocket jump, so we have to get there the regular way. This is the only difficult section of the map, as the hallway is full of imps and pinkies. Use your health and armor to lure most of the imps outside, then go for it and hope for the best. With the yellow key acquired, you just have to hit the switch and walk to the exit. If the shotgunners let you, that is. There's not much to say about this one, it's really straightforward. Let's hope it stays that way in the remaining levels. Nope, it does not stay that way. In fact, when I started working on this video, not only was E1M3 unbeaten, but also E1M5, E1M6, E1M7 and E1M9, so over half of the entire episode. But after clearing E1M3, I was determined to keep going. So let's bring back the epic music. Ah, much better. This one is hard, really hard. There are shotgunners everywhere, especially in the outside area with the slime. For the first room, wake everything up and then retreat to the starting door to let things infight. Getting rid of the 2 shotgunners and the 2 zombie men is the goal. Raise the bridge, but be aware of the shotgunner that will now path towards you. Get in to shoot the imp that's up here, and then you can head towards the yellow key. Take note of all the wake up sounds, as a lot of hit scan in the outside area has now spotted you. I actually don't want to move on yet, because an upcoming secret has 2 medikits that I don't want to waste. So I head down to cause more infighting until my health drops to about 55%. Now we wake up the imp and the 2 shotgunners guarding the yellow key, and immediately jump down to the secret. Here we get to replenish 50 health, collect the mega armor and use the door trick for some more infighting. Be ready for an army of hitscan waiting for you when you try to leave, and just hope you get lucky. That could have gone a lot worse. Get the yellow key and cause some early infighting if you want, although it's slightly risky. When heading to the yellow door, be aware that there's likely some shotgunners alive. You know the deal by now, use anything you can for infighting. Open the yellow door to reveal pinkies and let them deal with any remaining hit scan. A lot of enemies will gather up near this lift, and they're a challenge to deal with. Pinkies will very easily corner you, but with a bit of effort you can neutralize some of them with some help from an enemy in the faraway window. Okay, we can finally move down. I like the top of my health in the secret area before heading to the supercharge, because the final section of the map requires all the health and armor I can get. There we go, that's the first half of the map completed. But it's not the hardest part, oh no. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, for now we can actually relax a bit. If we just keep standing in this corner, we cannot get hit and enemies will die to each other. Then we move to the other side and we do the same thing. Oh, I love barrels so much. When there's only pinkies and specters left, we can head for the switch to make progress. I walk a quick circle and go back to collect the mega armor. Just gotta hope there's no enemies blocking you when you make the jump. Grab the invisibility and make your way back to where the yellow key was. This imp right here is absolutely crucial for the run, and that's no joke. If you want this strategy to succeed, an imp must survive in the outside area. This is because the next two rooms are the hardest of the entire map, and it's where I die every time, if I even make it that far, which is really rare. If you stand here while invisible, everything except the pinkies tends to die without any issue. Those pinkies are absolute run killers though. If you have no way to deal with them, it becomes nearly impossible to make it through this hallway. But this is where our heroic imp comes in. If you stand between him and the pinkies and dodge his attacks, he will very slowly take them down. Yeah, even at 500% speed, I'm not gonna show you the whole thing. And this is only one pinky by the way, I'm killing all 5 of them this way. There's still a lot of enemies to wake up in the room, so let's do that and then repeat the whole thing with the imp. This entire process takes about 10 minutes by the way. Instead of going downstairs, I stand here this time until the pinkies die. It's even slower, but at least there's no chance I'll get hit by the imp. And I really need all the health I can get for the dreaded imp hallway. I'm over 1200 attempts in, but I know that if I can make it past these imps, there's a chance I'll actually beat the map. So let's lure the first group out and use some more of our beloved barrels. In the second part of the hallway, there's too many imps to blow up, so my strategy is to lure a few of them out and then we try to run past the rest. This is easily the scariest part of the entire run, as I spent so much time to get here. Try to lure the imps to one side and just hope they cooperate. This is looking very good. Now, whatever you do, do not hit this switch. I've accidentally done it once and it instantly killed my run. It opens up this shortcut and allows any remaining enemies from earlier on in the map to pour in behind you. It's horrible. Go through the blue door and immediately hide in the secret area to the left. This way the hit scan gathers up near the entrance and is likely to hit each other. Open the last secret area and use this door to your advantage. Any enemies that remain can be lured into the teleporter, which brings them to the very start of the map. This is also how we're dealing with the exit room, which has 3 pinkies. Just be patient and lure them out. When there's only 1 pinky left, it's safe enough to finally go for the exit. This one ended up being even harder than E1 and 3. I even gave up a few times, but I kept coming back across multiple weeks until I finally got it. A huge thanks to Megasphere308, yes, the same one I mentioned during the intro, for sharing strategies, segmented demos and keeping me motivated. He's attempting this map as well, but with a much faster strategy. I really hope he gets to show it off. After map 3 and 5, I was kinda done with attempting these very grindy records myself. Ugh. Central processing once again hasn't been beaten, and I'm sure it's possible. Wait, what? Yep, that's right. While working on this project, the legendary speedrunner and Calagon posted a successful Stroller demo of E1M6. He's a mad lad and my savior, so let's analyze his run and see how he made it to the end. He first goes for the green armor in the central area. This is crucial to minimize the damage taken from all the hit scan. Then he moves to the red key. Normally, as shown in this example, you get trapped in the area as you enter it and you're forced to wait for a timer. But Caligon waits for a bit to lure a shotgun in the perfect spot. This blocks the door from closing behind him. He grabs the red key and gets out of there. Taking heavy damage from the hit scan is pretty much unavoidable, but he replenishes his health in his little room on the side. He then goes for the blue key and collects the supercharge and the mega armor. The blur sphere in the secret is actually worth picking up, as it helps with some hit scan later on. He heads for the blue door and the switch to reveal the path to the yellow key. This is where being invisible is useful, as these shotgunners have a higher chance to miss. He approaches the yellow key room from the side, so the imp near the entrance wakes up late and doesn't block him. After acquiring the key, he hides in this secret area and closes the blue door behind him, because enemies cannot open this from the other side. Then he uses the door strategy we've seen in other maps, to slowly reduce the horde on the other side. Take note of him punching the air. This is to wake up the imps in this hallway on the opposite side, and lure them out in advance. When enough enemies have died, he collects the rat suit and pushes through. Now for the hardest part of the map, getting to the end. This supercharge is very much needed, as the next area has a ton of enemies. The goal here is to cause as much infighting as possible and lure the enemies to this side. They cannot step on the damaging floor, but you can. He runs past them to hit the switch and immediately gets out. The door to the next room is now open, but getting inside is extremely difficult. All the enemies gather near the door, so he walks in front of it multiple times to incite infighting. But because there's still tons of demons left in the previous room, it takes patience and a lot of health. When nearly everything is dead, it's finally safe to just stand in front of the door and wait. To reiterate how crazy this part is, the kill count was at 35 when the switch was hit, and now it's at 64, that's nearly 30 enemies in one section. Time for the final room. There's still some pinkies and specters alive, and they can be a huge problem when navigating to the exit. That's because hitting this switch reveals so many enemies that it's easy to get stuck, so having those extra pinkies and specters around only makes it worse. However, the switch also lowers the walls and locks you in, so Caligon lures the enemies out of the final room and then quickly hits the switch so they can't get in. He lures the specters away from the exit, and I'm pretty sure he just hopes for the best here, trying not to get stuck. Thanks Caligon, a very impressive run. This leaves only 3 maps, but as mentioned before, E1M7 and E1M9 are yet to be beaten. Why did we see some HR strolling? Oh god. Did you almost beat E1M7 already in Caligon? Because then I don't have to try it for my video. Don't know about you, but E1M7, I tried it for a bit, it feels ugh. I'm not trying E1M7, yeah, it's horrible. So, that's it. No Caligon to save us this time, and I'm still not willing to grind. I guess it ends here. Wait, again? Yeah, again. And he posted this only 4 hours after saying he wouldn't even attempt this in my chat. 4 hours! Let's take a look at how he was able to get this so quickly, besides being incredibly skillful, of course. The beginning area is probably the hardest part of the map. There's a lot of shotgunners, so you cannot just rush for the green armor. Instead, Caligon waits for enough infighting to happen and then takes a detour to grab it. Now the goal is to take out all the hitscan in the area and then lure the remaining imps away from the lift to the yellow key. If you don't do this, the imps will most likely block you when trying to go back down, because you cannot walk over enemies in Doom. The 2 shotgunners guarding the key are very dangerous, so Caligon wakes them up, jumps back down and gets them to infight with both each other and the imps. After getting the key, a big part of the run becomes about utilizing the door trick to his advantage. It's important to note that some doors, like the one in E1M3, can be opened by enemies as well, but others, like the colored ones in E1M7, cannot. This means you have complete safety here, as long as you keep track of the roaming imps behind you. He checks for them constantly, and keeps swapping between the 2 yellow doors until most enemies inside are dead. When the hit scan is gone, he goes through the door and continues by triggering all the zombie men and shotgunners on this bridge. Then he lures them back to the yellow door, doing the same thing as before until they're all dead. When this is the case, he lures out the imps to trap them outside. There are some very close calls in this run, by the way. Luckily, there's a medikit he can collect and this secret. The path to the red key is still very dangerous at this health though, but the hit scanners in this hallway get distracted by two of the best snipers I've ever seen in Doom. That's one. And that's two. So clutch. And speaking of clutch, take a look at this. Did you catch that? And Calagon runs past the zombie man with 8 health to grab a medikit. Less than a second later, the zombie man shoots him for... Yep, exactly 8 damage. If you're wondering why he hasn't grabbed the supercharge and mega armor secret yet, this is because he wants to get the red key first. The red door is very close to the supercharge, so collecting it on the way back saves time and it prevents you from going back and forth through all the remaining imps. Sadly, Calagon loses too much health before getting the key though, so he's forced to get the health and armor early. Collecting the red key proves to be no issue, the shotgunner is very nicely distracted. The blue key is reached without losing virtually any health. And while some traps open up here and there, it is nothing that cannot be solved by more infighting. The blue key area has a lot of enemies, but can once again be solved through using the door. And finally, he collects the blur sphere secret outside. This allows him to get to the exit without getting completely obliterated. Without it, walking past the shotgunners like this would be far too risky. Another great run. I heavily underestimated how useful the doors are on this map, but Calagon showed exactly what strategies are needed to beat this one. E1M8, the boss level. Getting past these early pinkies is not challenging, you just have to be lucky. Usually they'll end up blocking you, and you can fix this by simply restarting the map, or by running to the other side to lure them away, although this still is not a guarantee. Then, I recommend going for the supercharge. You can once again get stuck here though, so be quick and hope for the best. Here's a very rare run where I make it through both parts unscathed, and everything I show from now on is from this same run. After getting the supercharge, grab the armor, run to the lift and prepare for the Bruiser Brothers showdown. To lower the walls and exit the level, both barons have to die. And you might be wondering, how do you do this without any combat? Well, the same way as it's done in the pacifist run. The only real difference is that it's much easier to get stuck between all the specters, thanks to our much lower speed. I start by waiting on top of the lift to lure the specters towards me. The barons don't get revealed until you step out. Then I jump down, leaving the barons and most of the specters stuck on the stairs. While they're infighting, I just walk around in circles. When I don't hear them infighting any longer, I go back and try to rile them up again. I almost end up getting stuck, but I make it out and one baron starts to clear almost everything. Then, we do the exact same thing the Cena showed in his clip about barrels and infighting. So just like the imps in E103, but this time with barons and on purpose. This means a baron must hit a barrel without it exploding, which requires a lucky low damage roll. Yep, exactly what we needed. Now all we have to do is lure the barons to the barrels and let them explode everything. We let them battle to the death. And then we bring up pinkies from the previous room by using this unreasonably well hidden switch. And there you have it, E1M8 completed. It wasn't too bad and only took about 60 attempts. It was just really boring compared to the other maps. Only one unbeaten map stands in our way to victory now. Is E109 possible as well, or will we barely fall short? Alright, I just had to show you how RNG the beginning is. The first thing I do is run to the left area and hide near the pentagram. If you take too much damage from the shotgunners on the way, just restart the map. The stairs make infighting relatively easy, just make sure all the hitscan dies. And like always, sometimes a lone shotgunner survives and you'll have to pray he doesn't hit you. If you've grabbed these medikits, make sure you don't make a sound throughout the rest of the map, otherwise a horde of enemies will teleport in. Make sure to grab the yellow key before leaving. When you get back to the main area, there's more hitscan to wake up. You can use the imps in the cage to your advantage though, keep them between you and the hitscan to guarantee infighting. I use the caged imp strategy often during the map, also when clearing the downstairs area for example. When low on health, I like to grab the 2 stimpaks in the chain gun secret, just make sure you get back on the lift in time. And now that we're here, let's open up the yellow door and get the imps to clear all the shotgunners. Luckily, they are unable to leave the room. If a shotgunner stays idle after killing an imp, run to the other yellow door to wake him up. As said earlier, you cannot make a sound or else the pentagram trap gets triggered. Also, make sure to obtain the green armor here. Be careful for the imps that will follow you up the lift though. After a few minutes, it's safe enough to get the red key. You have 2 choices here. If you're really careful, it's possible to avoid the trap, but you might take damage while doing so. Alternatively, rush through as quickly as possible. The trap might seem bad, but it also unlocks a medikit, so if you barely take damage, the net health gain is still positive in the end. I go for the second option in this run. The red room is similar to the yellow one. Enemies cannot leave, so be patient and wait for infighting. Enemies sneaking up behind you are the biggest danger here, so lure them away whenever they get close. Make sure to grab the medikit if you trigger the red key trap. After a lot of patience, it's finally time to enter the red area and wake up the rest of the enemies. I really want these imps to go, so I let them blow up the barrels. This switch can be hit through the barrel, so no need to make a sound. It reveals the blue key, but also a lot of pink keys. You can neutralize most of them by using the imp cage once more. Once they're dead or distracted, go for the blue key. Immediately after, open the blue door and wake up the imps and shotgunners. I was hoping for them to infight, but sadly it's not happening. So instead, I go back inside and hide in the secret area. From here, we just wait until the imps clear everything. Nice. Now we just strafe run over the gap and... Oh, wait, I guess we're supposed to do it the intended way. In that case, let's jump down and hit the switch. What? Okay, so we obviously can't run across the gap. But jumping down here is a death sentence. First of all, the entire section consists of a damaging floor. Then, hitting the switch is horrible thanks to the imp who can't leave the platform. The switch is required to raise the bridge, so it's not optional. Third, you have to get through this hallway with 4 more imps who will block you. You might think of luring the imps out, but this is very difficult thanks to the damaging floor, plus the door closing after some time. The only way to reopen it is by stepping on the brown platform again. Fourth, if you somehow do make it onto the lift, the imps will probably block it from going up. And finally, after all that, if you do make it up, enemies will likely be waiting for you. So, does this mean it's impossible? Well, not really. It is possible to rocket jump across the gap, but my success rate is very low and it takes around 90 health plus a decent amount of armor to survive the blast. And maintaining those numbers until the end of a stroller run like this is hard. The same goes for the regular path. It is possible, but you need to be near full health to even have a chance. What you're seeing now is a successful attempt, but from a save. With full health and armor, I'd say my success rate is only about 5%. So, what's the problem? The problem is that I don't want to do it anymore. E1M3 and E1M5 took a huge amount of time already, but I was motivated because it felt barely within reach. And while I did prove that E1M9 is humanly possible, the chances of getting to the final room with close to 100 health, it is just astronomically low. And even if you do make it there with that health, well, first of all, each run would be like 15-20 minutes getting to the exits. And then I would have a 1 in 20 chance to beat it, based on my save games and trying over and over and over. Then you would have to add nerves, pressure. I'm not going to be the one to do it. But I do believe that it is possible, and I really, really hope someone finds a an alternative method, something I overlooked. Maybe someone is willing enough to actually grind it and complete the whole episode this way. I really hope so. But I'm not going to be the one. It is sad to end it like this, but yeah. So, to answer the question, is it possible to beat Doom Episode 1 with Stroller rules? 100% yes, it just hasn't been done yet. Hopefully someday. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more analysis or challenge videos like this, please let me know by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, or leaving a comment. I'm really hoping to celebrate 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, I'd like to give a shout out to all my Slayers. Forgot to Sleep, AF, A Kronos, Across 32, Adam Goodall, Adrian Claudio Niku, Alexei Trubachov, Ali the Greatest, DNMe, Altair Storage, Andy Norton, AP8888, Archville, Arthur Fischer, Arthur1, ASAT, S-Man, Aces NX, awildbenneappears, Bell County Tourism, Ben of Langley, BigPashPlays, Björn Andersson, Bolaum, Braden Atkinson, BronyCopter117, Cartooning with Chris, Catla PandaGirl, Chaos to You, Chloe Pugh, Chris B, Cody Polm, Davey Monte Oliva, Delirium, DFT V2.0, Dominic Beacham, Doom007, DuckReconMajor, Generic Doom Guy, Jen Veers, German B90, Gert Jensen, Grizzly Alt B, Gus S, Headhunter, Indecisive Boar, James Barnett, Jesus E. Peña, Jon Stanberry, Jon Stone, Jose Luna, Keith Stewart, Kister Mills, L.R. Gretton, Lasse Rentekumpu, La Emile, Leek, Logan Slowinski, Lund, M159852, Makhauser, Mancubian Candidate, Matthew, Michael Bowman, Michael Lukasiak, Mighty Jabba's Collection, Minister of Doom, Mirto Muskie, NaN NaN, Neurometry, Nick, NuruTheDoomer, OKJs20, Owen Brown, PA, Patrick Curry, Paulo Sergio, Priority Drelp, Quizas, Razor, RHHE82, Rodrigo Mariano, Rory Norton, Ryan L, Rai, Santiago Kamerbeek, Sint84, Slick HPG, Smiling Imp, Spectere, Spencer Smick, Sponjo Bonjo, Squingle Doodle, Stefan Wentink, Tavio2, THB, Tom Brown, Troy Horry, Tune Tails Gamer, UCM0I6W5LBLRTHCTZEOJ99TG, Ukiro, USPS First Class, Vatsal Mumgain, Vincent Hogendam, Wouter Smits, Yugiboy85, Zach Lawrence, and zgriffon. Thank you so much for your continued support.